Mulberry versus Burberry, which would you choose? Hello everyone, welcome back to another mommy review. I review all things for the love of. Today I want to talk about Mulberry versus Burberry. Now I know these two brands are very different, but I think phonetically speaking they are quite similar, and I can see why people get them confused. So I want to dedicate this video to talk about the difference between the handbags from these two brands. And before I start, if you like the content on the channel, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. It really help a lot. Thank you so much for considering, and on with the video. So like I mentioned, I think when you look at just the name of it, Mulberry, Burberry, they are a little similar, and I guess I get the confusion that they're both from England, but basically I think the similarities kind of end there. I think that they are very different in terms of brands. I did a separate shopping video for each of the brands, which you'll find in my YouTube channel, but for this particular video I want to focus on the difference between handbags from these two brands, and hopefully that will help you in deciding if you were to go for an alternative luxury brand, which one would you choose between these two. Now personally, I should start by saying I actually don't own any Burberry handbags. I think for me, some of the bags are really nice. I think that their prices are a little bit on the higher side, and I don't know if it's really fair to compare to Mulberry, because I find that the style of the bags are very different. A lot of it is homage to the classic Burberry pattern, which you know what I mean. You see it with the Burberry, this tan beige, black, white intersecting stripes with these narrow red accent stripes that are known variously in kind of as the novel check. So I think they call it the tartan check pattern. So that's what I know Burberry for. I mean, the brand is well established. It's been around since 1856. But what I know the brand for is more related to the clothes that they have, particularly the famous trench coats, leather accessories, and some footwear. So I feel like the handbags are really a homage to this classic pattern that's instantly recognizable for Burberry, and even with the stitching, quilting that you see for some of the handbags for Burberry, they try to replicate and make you remember that pattern is what Burberry is known for. So like I mentioned, I feel like the handbag is kind of secondary for me when I look at Burberry. Burberry is more clothes, accessory, and I feel handbags is something they're trying to dive into. There isn't anything in particular that I feel is super classic Burberry handbag, a signature handbag, and maybe it's just a matter of time that Burberry will dive into this and discover or rediscover a handbag that really belongs to them. And to be honest, out in the wild, I don't really see a lot of people carrying Burberry handbags either. It's more like the trench coats and scarves that I would see typically. On the other hand, I feel like Mulberry, it's not really fair to compare handbags for Mulberry to Burberry, because I think that Mulberry definitely have the upper hand here, given that Mulberry is known for like quality leather at not outrageous prices, but I tend to look at Mulberry more for bags. I feel like the bags are not covered in logos, which is more minimalistic, and I like that. I feel that Mulberry's reputation is like a little bit more quiet style. If you know it, you know it. It's not as in your face. So like Louis Vuitton or Chanel with their logos. The leather is just absolutely amazing, as I've heard, in particular the Baywater. The Baywater design and some of the classic Mulberry design bags I find are still there from years to come, which is really good, given that you see the bags being there repeatedly shows that it really stands the test of time. And they do bring in new styles every season, but there are some classics that's been there for a bit. Mulberry, founded in 1970, definitely doesn't have the heritage that Burberry does. They do focus on leather goods, especially for women's handbags, but they do have like women's wear and men's wear as well. I think that there are some really classic designs for Mulberry. In particular, the Baywater has been raved upon, and I've seen. I find that the Baywater is very minimalistic, a great go-to bag, and it comes with a range of different colors. And if I were to purchase a handbag personally, I think I'll probably move towards Mulberry just because there are more classic, timeless designs with good leather quality that's been attested for. That's not to say that the Burberry bags, like I mentioned before, I don't really have any personal experience with it. But I think that if I was to shop handbags, Burberry would probably be secondary for me compared to Mulberry. I would love to know if you have experiences with some of these brands for handbags, if you have encountered the contrary or something similar. But like, I think for my final conclusion, I just feel that Mulberry, it's a great brand. It has amazing leather goods, whereas Burberry I think is more of a fashion house that branches out into leather. At the end of the day, I would say go with your heart, go with what sings to you. Always find that the bag that catches your eye first is usually the best choice in the end for you. You may try to reason yourself out based on differences, and we go around in circles, but eventually you kind of end up back at that first bag that your gut told you this is the one. So that's it for the video today on Mulberry and Burberry. I hopefully helped you in demystifying the differences between the brand, and you get a chance to look at some of the current bags that are on trend for both of these brands. Now, if you have a choice, I would love to hear from you. If cost is not an issue, which brand would you go with? Are you a team Mulberry or a team Burberry fan? I would love to know. Well, with that said, thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I'll see you next time in another mommy review. Take care and stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.